Now, in your first episode, you were discussing the importance of creating this space, not just for queer Arabs, but also queer
Yeah,
Arabs who are out. You created this podcast, which means that you saw a need for this space, and you were talking about earlier how you ran a
yeah.
search and you couldn't find anything. How do
Mhm.
you feel about the current state of queer Arab representation in media? Who's currently holding the torch, and how would you like to see this
Yeah.
change?
From what I've seen, like even since we started this podcast, I think there's been a pretty significant development in that area. Yeah, like when I have found a really cool organization in New York. Ellie has been involved some with Tata NYC. They are a really awesome queer like SWANA organization. So seeing that has been really refreshing and encouraging. There, yeah, I'm seeing like more films and like music that's being a little like catching attention, featuring either queer people from the Swana region who are queer or like referencing that. And so from what I've seen, like it's definitely been developing quite a bit just within the past like couple years, and
Mm-hmm.
people are speaking more for themselves and like instead of you know just through the white lens, like a white person um, kind of looking at the whole topic as disaster porn.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's been a really nice development. Also, like with the I've noticed like with the Lebanese Revolution lately, queer folks in Lebanon are bringing I don't know, they're speaking up a lot through the revolution, and that's really cool to see. Even some of the graffiti that you see, you know, celebrating the queer community in Lebanon, like
Mm-hmm.
that's been another amazing context where I've just been so inspired seeing from afar. Um, Not only that the revolution is happening, but also that queer people are able to use that spotlight to speak up even more and get more international attention.
Yeah.
Ellie, how do you feel?
Um, well, I'm more of an internet nerd myself, so I'm all about uh, just seeing some of my favorite bands online, like the Muslims and Giant Kitty,
Mm-hmm.
but who both either have Swana queer or both representation in their bands. I've always been like somewhat keeping my eye on it, but I'm also glad to see that, again, Tarab is a thing now. That Halem is this Middle Eastern queer rights advocacy organization,
Mm-hmm.
and they also do stuff like getting people to safe houses and getting them out of the region if it's needed. I've been following them since basically 2002, I think, or 2003,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just been amazing to see that these things endure and continue and grow and remain relevant. Um, it's and I feel like right now everyone's starting to really speak out, because if we don't speak out, you know, someone else will do the speaking for us. Be it, a government who wants to co-opt or go against LGBTQ rights, like the Syrian government tried to do. They were
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, look how accepting and Western we are, protecting these LGBTQ people. And then as soon as it became inconvenient or didn't work, they dropped them, you know. Or when a government wants to crack down on morality and, say, hey, we are the upholders of the good and pure, like the Egyptian government did several times. It's if
Yeah,
and if people in the region or who are connected to the region can't speak out for themselves, those are the only narratives that go around.
yeah. And I feel it's somewhat. of a sense of responsibility. Like I'm in a privileged position of being in the U.S. and being able to be kind of somewhat public about like being queer.
Mhm.
And sometimes when I look at Google Analytics, I see quite a few listeners in Saudi Arabia, and we barely get any social media engagement from people in Saudi Arabia, but it's cool to see that people are listening and people like, I guess some people need this.
Mhm.
And since I'm in a safe position, pretty safe position to be able to do this, I kind of feel like, you know, okay, I should be using that.
Like,
In
since
a,
you
Yeah.
have that ability and sort of the confidence and skills to be able to do this, using that as an opportunity of like, hey, let me really lean into this. I know that I've definitely thought about
Yeah.
that, how,
yeah,
having a platform and being able to just post on social media, as much as a lot of people can do that, sometimes certain people are just more programmed for that. Some people are just, they're very vocal, they're always wanting to share their opinions. And I think people who have that confidence to do that definitely should.